Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm Mitchell Brownstein, the Mayor of Côte Saint-Luc. Councillor Dida Berku and I were elected in 1990, and we've had a long voyage throughout. But one of the exciting things has been this new project, the Smart Cities Challenge. And we're going to talk about that. And we have Marc Chriqui here, who is our technical director, and he was president of a startup company that created a technology that when you would go shopping, they would know who you are. So they'd say, hey, hi, Jane, it's been 3 months since the last time you shopped. Welcome back to our store. And he's the perfect guy to help us implement what we're trying to do for seniors. So that's our team, and now we can move to the next one. So I'll tell you a little bit about our city. We are a city on the island of Montreal. We're a suburb. We have 34,000 residents, 13,500 households. You can see it over there too. Our median age is 45 years of age. And we have the second highest number of seniors per capita, with 35% over the age of 60. Now what's an interesting statistic is if you look at the households and you go to each door, 1 out of every 3 doors has an individual living alone. And now our focus on seniors, we decided to focus on seniors as this sort of has been part of the mission of the City of Côte Saint-Luc for sure for the last 50 years. We want to focus on ensuring that they have active quality of life, that they're engaged and they can enjoy all the services that we offer, and we have many, enjoy our programming, that we encourage their cognitive and physical stimulation, and so on. Now, some of the services that we offer in Côte Saint-Luc that are unique are, first of all, our emergency medical services. In 1964, we created a volunteer organization called Emergency Medical Organization, which now is called EMS, Emergency Medical Services, and it's all volunteers, and it's open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Now, we're the only service of that type, and there was a threat of losing it several years back because the provincial government made the fire department the only first response organization, and no volunteer organization was allowed to do that service. But we worked together with our member of the National Assembly to get an exemption because our service was so good that we're able to continue it. And what makes it so exceptional is, you know, the people that came to live in Côte Saint-Luc, many of the individuals that moved there were, after the Second World War, immigrants speaking various languages. And our volunteers, when they would come and respond, they would first of all get there quicker than the ambulance. And secondly, they would often be able to speak the language, whether it was Romanian or Hungarian or Yiddish. The response would be to these people, these elderly people, as they would come and get older, from individuals that they knew in their own community. Now, 11 years ago, we added on to that our Volunteer Citizens on Patrol. This is an organization where we have over 100 volunteers. Most of them are seniors, and they're taking care of our community like a neighborhood watch. They walk around the city, and they drive their vans and their scooters, and they make sure that our city is safe. We also have a unique drop-in center. Now, the drop-in center is for elderly people suffering from various types of dementia. And it's a very special program. We were losing this program that was offered by the CLSC, which is the medical branch of the provincial government. So we had to find a way to keep it in Côte Saint-Luc because it was so important to us. So we found a spot in our Aquatic and Community Center, and our Member of Parliament, Anthony Housefather, helped us get a grant of $391,000 in order to keep this program going for 3 years, and hopefully we're going to continue it further because it helps so many people. It gives respite for the caregivers, and it allows individuals who need that time away from their caregiver and to be stimulated with arts and physical activities in a very warm setting, where a lot of other activities are going on. The kids are going to the pool, we have daycare, we have all types of things happening at the Aquatic Center, and there's an interaction between these seniors and the kids. We have the largest men's club. We have over 700 members of our men's club, and they have events every week, many events every week. Every Thursday there's a speaker. They invite their partners to participate in many of the events as well, and they're extremely active. So not only do we as a city offer programming, but we have clubs such as the men's club that offer stimulating program for our seniors. We have a women's club as well, and many other clubs. We have a bus shuttle that's specifically there to help individuals who live in various seniors' homes, and it picks them up and takes them to the shopping areas, the medical areas, in order for them to be able to have a direct pickup at their home and take them shopping or to medical appointments. We also have a program that's called the Daily Bonjour Hi. Hello, how you doing? We have somebody call individuals who are signed up for the program in the morning to make sure that everything's okay and if they need any help. So that's also to help our seniors, particularly those that are shopping. Our urban planning department works with individuals who need to adapt their homes to make them safe, such as in this picture you'll see a bathroom that's been adapted, and there are tax credits that can be received as well as grants. So our urban planning department works with individuals to help them adapt their homes, but we can only do so much, which makes me talk about the next stage. So you're in your bathroom, it's beautifully adapted, it's safer, but what happens if you fall? You still can fall, who's going to know? That's what we're going to be talking about next. How do people know in your home when you fall if you're alone? We have different programming, such as our award-winning Dramatic Society. About 7 years ago, we created a Dramatic Society that allows everybody to participate. And we have a Senior Summer Works project, which means every summer, youth in our community direct and choreograph seniors. So it's the youth helping the seniors put on a show. And our whole community comes out in large numbers to see it. We have library services. They are unbelievable. The seniors are out all the time, either at a lecture or at a movie or at an art exhibit. There's something for them every day at the library. We have concerts, movies, lectures, and much more. And in our recreational facility, we have aqua fitness, yoga, all types of activities in our aquatic and community center. We have, how are we doing? We're about 5?
We're concluding.
We'll get almost done. So we have seniors residences in our community that are very important, and some low-cost housing. Now our challenge is to ensure that these individuals that are, to the large part, isolated, that we deal with the problems. And how are we going to do that? And that's what we're going to talk about next. I mean, there's loneliness, there's falls, as I mentioned. There's the issue of water and appliances. Things could go wrong. How do we know if somebody left their oven on? There's mobility challenges, disorientation, even death. I mean, there was a situation where we found out several months later when somebody's taxes were way overdue that they had died in their apartment and nobody knew. So what we would hope is with the technology that we hope to implement in these smart homes, that not only would we avoid that, but be able to avoid the death by responding to a person in need on a timely basis. So we have a complex also medical system and want to help them through that. So that's a lot of the things that we have done, and I'm going to let Councillor Dida Berku, who is spearheading this challenge, let you hear a little bit more about our project.
Thank you. So we've met the first challenge because we're trying to beat the clock. Thank you, Mitch, so much. My name is Dida Berku. I'm City Councillor, as Mitch told you, since 1990. Feel like a real veteran. Nonetheless, this challenge has given us an opportunity to really brainstorm and to exchange in our city new ideas and new ways of doing things. And I want to take this opportunity. I could talk for quite a while, but Marc is really the one who's going to give you the substance, the essence of what is our technological proposal. But I want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Latif, because I feel that this Smart City exchange is really remarkable. We don't often get, as cities, we don't often get an opportunity to talk to researchers, and we got lots of great ideas yesterday from Jenny, from Dubois, from people who were really, on the field and understanding. And we feel that with this possibility that we're going to advance basically it's a continuum, and what we want to do is we want to keep isolated seniors in our community, but at home and aging in a peaceful and healthy environment. So we have 4 challenges. The first one is, from my perspective, because I'm sort of driving this program is how does this project fit in the city's core business? And I think you've heard a little bit of how this is the next step. The second one is how can the city compete with startup innovators? So I'm going to talk about that. How can this project be scalable and sustainable across Canada? That is one of the major challenges of the Smart City Prize. We have to prove that. And how should the city position itself in such a fast-paced industry? Just this morning, like all of you, were reading the news alerts, and there's like something like 10,000 new devices coming onto the market every day. I mean, this is just a crazy, crazy, fast-paced industry. The smart homes and all the technologies that are going into homes. So both large players and emerging startups are targeting seniors, and they're really targeting them. And Best Buy, just to give you an example, Best Buy in August announced 50 million US citizens are 65 age or older. Well, we know that. The population is expected to grow by more than 50% within the next 20 years. Senior home care market is expected to reach, that's a traditional home care market, $9 billion. Okay? Yes, folks, $9 billion. And guess who's pushing right into that traditional non-tech market? All the big players, Google, Google Home, Amazon, Alexa, Apple, Apple Watch, and the whole array of smart home providers who are catering to the whole market, but especially marketing to seniors. And if you read the bulletins and newsletters like I do, it's just a barrage. We're just being bombarded by all these new technologies that can go into the home. And we feel that the seniors are really vulnerable. I mean, this is a vulnerable population. They're not tech savvy, they're not sure which is the right mix. My own 95-year-old mother yesterday called me in a panic because her cell phone wasn't charging, and which plug does she have to put it in? And this is a serious issue. You know, many of us are going through this with our parents, with our loved ones, and we need to be close to them, we need to help them, but we also have to offer them practical and workable solutions. So we live in a society, as you know, where in our community we had the first responders, we had a lot of opportunity to understand the needs of our community, and we felt that this is going to the next stage. We did consultations, and when we first started thinking about Smart City, we said, okay, where should we go? Sensors, everyone's talking about sensors. You can see it here in the show. But it developed, the idea developed sensors for the environment, then sensors for the home, and then sensors for seniors. And that's where we're taking this. So we feel that it is, we're on a continuum with our last 50 years of providing services to isolated people. Is the city a startup? How can the city keep up with profit-driven businesses that are dedicated to innovation? No, we don't look like that when we're having meetings, but we're trying really hard to innovate, and every day we get new ideas. Just last night I met with a cousin of mine who's a psychoanalyst. He says, pills. I said, what about pills? He says, they don't know how to take their pills. I said, well, how are we going to help them? He says, well, you know, there's these technologies that you can automate the pill dispenser in the home remotely. I said, really? He says, yeah. So, you know, I've been in this for like the past 6 months. No one has ever brought that up, amazingly. And every day we're getting new ideas. And our community is going to be a living lab. We have residents, families, a lot of people out of town, you know, Quebec. We lost a lot of our young people, and a lot of people my generation left. And so their parents are in our community, and they want to help them daily, but they need to do it through intelligent technologies. How can we make it scalable and sustainable? Again, same issue. We're going to hopefully win the $10 million prize. And that's going to be great for our community and a lot of groups. And you're going to see, Marc's going to talk about it in a minute. Everyone wants to partner with us. We're attracting such, you know, wonderful researchers who are doing work, but they don't have that kind of prize money. So they want to come to our community. They want to do it, smart homes for this and that, for seniors, etc. Even sensors in the environment. But how are we going to make it scalable if we have that kind of prize money? How is, you know, Guelph or Hamilton or other cities, how are they going to, or smaller cities like we heard about yesterday that are doing great things for their community, how are they going to do it if they don't have the 10 million? So we have to come up with government programs, user pay plans, tax credits for caregiving services. There's lots of programs, as you saw, for adapting the, you know, your home for mobility. There are lots of programs out there, and we're going to have to explain to the government that now they're going to have to also give tax credits for technology as well. So the next slide is, how can the city position itself in this fast-paced market? As you know, we are lucky in a way to be in a public health system, right? Our social services, the CLSC nurse that comes to my mother once a week or once, you know, as needed, they're very slow. They only use fax and telephone. When I told her, I said, Corinne, can I email you? Oh no. I said, can I send you? No. I said, well, we need to communicate. I'm taking care of my mom, and there's a new thing out there called care mapping. And, you know, they ask you, who's taking care of your loved one? And it's me and Corinne. I'm a single child. So, like, Corinne, I need to talk to you. If something happens, she says, well, telephone and fax, leave me a message. That's too slow. That's just too slow. And the government wants to keep people at home, and they're paying her to provide a service. So we need, as a city, and that's the final thought, and I'm going to let Marc continue. We need, as a city, to position ourselves as the gateway, as the interface between the push that's coming down from the Googles and the Amazons and the Alexas and this heavy push that's going to be barraging all our seniors and us as well to implement technologies in our homes and on our bodies and the smartwatch and everything else that we're going to have to deal with. So we need to be the interface for that. Between that and the slow-paced bureaucracy that is our public, you know, social service. And even if you go into the private healthcare realm, it's also not as responsive as we would like it to be. And I want to, in conclusion, 2 days ago, Paul Romer got the Nobel Prize for economics. And I was absolutely just thrilled to hear this man, and I suggest you all just hear him talk and explain. His theory is that technology and the innovation that we're capable of promoting is going to move progress, is going to advance economic development, is going to create wealth, and that we're capable of managing all these issues if we just, you know, really put our minds to it. So with that, I'm sure I passed my time. I apologize. And Marc will continue with the technology portion. And we're going to stay here. We'd love to talk to you. You all have really tremendous ideas, and I look forward to having an opportunity to speak to you again. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dida. As Dida mentioned, just very quickly, the things that we're doing right now is we're very focused on engaging with our residents to get this right. Dida and Mitch talked about a lot of points that represent a framework for what we need to do, and we're continuing to bring our residents, our seniors, into the discussion so we can build the right thing. There's so many things we can do, and we're very much involved in public engagement and working with our partners to be scientific about our approach in doing all of this. We're working with our existing services as well. Mitch mentioned our VCOPs, our Hello Bonjour service, our drop-in centers. If we can take those services to the next level using technology, we've accomplished a lot. So we're working with them very closely to do that. We're also looking to implement a pilot as part of the Smart Cities Challenge. So the Smart Cities Challenge is getting the city in gear. We're not a huge city, but we're being super nimble and agile about this whole process. And we're doing some, we're preparing some great things for the coming months leading up to the decision time in the spring. So the how part is what we think about every day as part of this opportunity. And our mission really is to define how can we help the people that can't necessarily help themselves. Isolated seniors represent a whole lot of challenges in terms of what can happen, as Mitch mentioned. And as Dida mentioned, we're looking at a very fast-paced environment in this industry, in the smart home space, smart devices space, where there are big players, there are innovative startups. What is our role? And our role is not to compete with those people. Our role is to be a gateway to our residents and to our isolated seniors to this whole fast-evolving space. And so we consider, as part of our vision, we consider that we're a point of entry. We're an advisor in this space. This is something that we should do as a city, is that we should be there to take the calls about how do we get started? What is it that we do? So we want to be an advisor, an enabler, a facilitator in this process when it comes to device selection, when it comes to flows around, what if this happens, what if that happens, what do I do? So we also want to take our existing services, as I mentioned, to the next level, so we want to use technology to create a better future and a more automated and connected future as part of the things that we already do. We have, as part of our vision, we have this belief that we want to move from reactive care to proactive care with this opportunity. Once 911 gets called, it's probably too late, and we then hand that over to the healthcare system. We have a lot of social services. We have a lot of work that's being done already to make sure that we can connect with our seniors better to before bad things happen, quote unquote. So we want to move from we want to move more of the attention away from first response into proactive and preventative care. We want to make sure that our seniors have a personalized approach to the whole process, that they are first. We want a senior-first process where, at the moment, we're building profiles of our seniors. What are their ages? What are their particular health conditions? What is their level of comfort with technology? So we want to make sure that we're building profiles, that we have an easy onboarding process to what it is that we do, and also we also have an end-of-life process as well. So in terms of when the program for a particular isolated senior runs its course, what is it that we can do to repurpose devices, to do things of that nature. We definitely want to put privacy first. Everything we keep hearing about from our residents and from the industry as well is how important, as part of the Smart City Challenge as well, is how important privacy is. And we're putting a lot of attention on as part of our vision on implementing privacy from the ground up, from an end-to-end perspective, and also, at the same time, how can we also honor our goals for open data as a city to share critical pieces of information from our city in the open about how other constituents can benefit from what it is that we do. So there's a whole lot of moving parts to this. I'll get into some of these vision points about what it is that we're looking to build. At the moment, seniors, when adopting private solutions or solutions from the private sector, are looking at a whole range of devices from air quality sensors to smart door locks to to smart plugs for the stove to motion sensors. There's a whole lot of things that are going on in there. And typically in the private space, these are solutions that operate with single vendors, and there's a whole mix of things that they would have to implement to get a full end-to-end solution. So we believe that we need to work very closely with the private sector as well as social healthcare services to get a technology platform working well and vetted as part of our process. We want to be involved from the vetting process and seeing that from a privacy perspective, data is not being sent into the cloud and mismanaged or shared irresponsibly, that we can be connected in the home to make sure that, to connect it in the home as well as on the go, to make sure that we can be connected in all types of scenarios that might occur with isolated seniors. Yesterday there was a great talk, I believe it was from PCL in the construction space, around the edge. So the edge is a key concept that we believe is important for seniors as well. The edge, just to give an idea of what that is that there's data in the cloud and there's data as part of the network on the edge. And on the edge, that means the data is, let's call it quote unquote offline, so not connected to the cloud. That means that we want to see that there's as much that can be done in the home and on devices such as a smartwatch that can be collected, that doesn't have to necessarily be sent to the cloud. That doesn't necessarily have to, we don't have to see risks with respect to privacy that can be exposed. So we want to see that we can trigger scenarios and events inside of as close to the devices as possible. So we're working with our technology partners to make sure that we can implement that vision and execute on our privacy goals as best as we can. We believe that the city should have its own digital infrastructure to process all this stuff with configurable workflows, with artificial intelligence, with a whole lot of integrations that are key to our city services, as well as to families and to caregivers. We're in a very dynamic world. There's all sorts of scenarios that can happen with respect to falls, or air quality issues, or even things that need to be done in terms of two-way communication. Maybe the city can get involved in turning off a stove that has been left on. These are scenarios that are very interesting for the future, and we're exploring those as we build out our plan. As I mentioned, we're working with, we want to make sure that privacy is front and center of what we're doing. What some of the biggest issues in adoption is, biggest issues in adoption is a result of the fact that privacy is not taken seriously. Our seniors have expressed themselves and have said, where's my data going? Who's using my private information? And I basically don't want to give it away. I will not, seniors will not come on board if we don't give them the security needed to give them the security needed that we're taking care of their private information coming from all these devices, coming from their habits. We're dealing with an environment where people want dignity, they want autonomy, they want control, and we've learned a lot as part of this process around privacy, and we're working with privacy experts and learning from great concepts such as the 7 principles of privacy by design. Because we want to build a brand new framework here for cities to adopt, we want to do it from the ground up in terms of privacy to be. From the get-go, we want to make sure that privacy at each of the steps of what we do is taken care of. And we're working with amazing partners. As Dida mentioned, there are so many people that are working with us right now, and more are coming into the mix. It's pretty wonderful. We're working with unbelievable researchers in Montreal, as well as companies and organizations outside of our 4 walls. It's pretty phenomenal what's going on. We're working with researchers that have already implemented things and tested things that we're looking to implement. So everyone is coming together really nicely with the Center of Research for Geriatrics at the University of Montreal. We've had great work. We're doing great things with universities like Concordia, as well as the University of Sherbrooke, who has an unbelievable advancements in terms of the implementation of technology in smart apartments. So there's a whole lot of great things there. Just so many things with our social healthcare system as well. We have a great ecosystem that is creating a lot of confidence with our group that we can meet our vision as per the smart city goals, as well as the future of city-driven care, social and healthcare across Canada. So in closing, we really have a strong mission here to lead the charge on how cities are going to deliver better connected care to their seniors. And we really want to see that seniors are getting more and more comfortable with these concepts. So we want to do the work necessary to see that seniors can say yes to these concepts, that they understand that their dignity is protected, they have autonomy, their private data is protected as well, and we're providing them with peace of mind and great experiences in this new digitally connected world. There are huge productivity gains coming from, or huge mental, psychological and cognitive gains to have as well in their well-being as part of the adoption of technology. Everyone knows how great it feels when we see seniors getting comfortable with their iPad and with new technology, so there's a whole lot of things to gain from there. So we really would like, we want to thank everyone, and the Smart City Challenge has given us a great opportunity to do this, and we really hope to be there at the pole position in the end. So winning that prize is really going to help us get there. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions? Because our dream is that anybody, no matter what their economic level, should be able to have a smart home. Meaning that their caregiver, the caregiver of their choice, and the city would be able to know, hey, mom always gets up at 7 o'clock in the morning, why is she still in bed at 11? Or hey, mom always cooks and opens up her fridge, why hasn't she opened it up in 3 days? That's what we hope for every senior who wants it in our community and who needs it. They should have that. So we're going to get there with these guys as helping us. We're going to get there. Yeah, go ahead.
Have you been able to monetize for the healthcare system the tremendous savings? You know, walking across the room and breaking your hip because you're trying to shut the blind when you can clap and it'll shut. So is there a way, is that part of the challenge thing? Is to
100%. You want to speak about that? But 100%, one of the reasons why our proposal is so interesting to the government, obviously, is because if we're successful, we're going to be avoiding a lot of the situations that cost the taxpayers a lot of money to support them in hospitals and seniors' homes. Keeping people in their own homes with their own family caregiver or the caregiver of their choice is obviously the better way to go, better quality of life. People live longer, they're happier, and we save a lot of money for the healthcare system.
As the technology is advancing, there is a push from the technology side that these are the innovations which are going forward, and on the other hand, we have seniors which are struggling to cope up with these innovations. For example, my mom, she has a weak eyesight, so whenever she types, she faces a problem to type that up, and so a good solution for that is having a SOS button on a smartphone. So how are you planning to bridge that gap between?
Right. So we've already discussed with, as you saw, some of the partners we have. So at Concordia, they have a group that's working on how seniors adapt to technology and how technology has to adapt for seniors. That's their focus. And one of the researchers told us, you know, you're going to put things in people's hands and you'll be surprised what they come up with. And the first thing that they mentioned is something my own mom mentioned. This phone, the numbers are too small, and they have to be separated and they have to be illuminated. And so, you know, the feedback is immediate, right? They'll tell you exactly what you need to do. And so I agree with you that, you know, technology has to be readapted. And this is the feedback we're getting from the Concordia group that is focused just on that part of it. And we'll address issues like your mom's poor eyesight in order to interact.
And a smart home should not require a senior to do anything. I mean, right now, if you fall down, my mom always says, you know, if she falls down, I have my cell phone with me, I'm going to make a call. Well, good for you. If you fall down, you're going to make a call. The smart home is supposed to be able to have a sensor that said this person fell. I mean, there's all types of things. They have now technology where if you wear a particular device, it's sort of like an airbag, and it could help you when you fall not break your hip. Or if you fall in the bathroom on the floor, a sensor alerts your caregiver that could be living in another city that, hey, somebody fell, you know, mom just fell in the bathroom. So we need technologies that don't require the person to open up their phone and make the call. And they exist. So it's a matter of putting them into the homes.
Hi, I'm coming in from Western Australia, from down under, and I'm really excited to hear the stories that you're sharing. I represent the University of Western Australia as one of the industry advisory panel members, and we have a lot of university student projects that would really work well to fit into this, where we can give you a lot of free labour if we can work together.
Great.
It's a matter of coming up with plans and ideas.
And that's what we want to do. We want to create a platform, not only for our own city, but I think the Smart City Challenge is there for that, to really create a platform for all researchers in this field, like we're going to focus on this field, to work together to find solutions. And I think Marc wants to add something.
That's good. We're integrating so many groups at the moment. For sure, we want to touch on all areas of the platform, from technology to integrations to usability. And just to add to the previous point as well, we're trying to put a focus as much as possible on very easy to use passive devices. We're big on voice. We have two-way communications as well that we want to look at. Very easy voice is becoming very important, or single touch operations. There's so many things that we want to make sure are easy buttons across the board for what we're wanting to do. So putting the emphasis that we're putting on usability is huge, and we intend to continue our work with groups like Concordia and other researchers as well that you might have access to, that we would love to work with to make that happen.
Are you envisioning this to be a service that will be provided by the city, or are you going to enable the private sector to participate in terms of the commercial side of it? So, in other words, for example, do I call the city to get my mom hooked up and connected to the platform, or do I hire a third-party integrator to do that?
So it definitely is an emerging problem to solve. But what I do want to mention is, as we mentioned, we want to be a gateway to communities. We're not looking to compete with the private sector. However, there are so many devices and options out there that we believe that we have the responsibility vis-a-vis our citizens to vet solutions, to guide our residents as to what might be the right thing for them, as part of including the ability to wire into city services. So we're specifically focusing on isolated seniors. We need to help them make decisions for all these things, so we want to partner with the private sector. But we do want to see vetting happening. So the partners that we would work with as part of our process would be that we want to understand how they move data around. Are they meeting privacy requirements? We have a checklist of things that we would like to see partners to work with, to see the city take an active role in protecting citizens for this. So we're not competing, we want to work together to make this work. And in the end, the process is that we would like to see a series of options that would work for seniors to choose from large companies as well as smaller companies on the other end of the spectrum.
The vision for the city would be to have that list of all the partners that we feel are reliable and are useful, and then when the caregiver comes in and says, I need help, that we say, this is our checklist. And we'll be the resource person that will be the contact throughout. Right now we have dispatch. So we have a dispatch that calls, there's an emergency, do they call the VCOP, do they call the ambulance, do they call the emergency medical service? A call comes into the city. I think we have to have a similar service that would go in. It wouldn't be the same person that's doing dispatch, it would be another person that would manage this whole system and make sure that responses through the proper technologies and the proper services are adapted. So, one more question?
More of a comment. There's some interesting work going on in Ontario where community paramedics provide some of those kinds of follow-up services in the home. So, telephone monitoring, the devices and so on. So paramedics often go out several times to visit the same senior and take them to the hospital. And there's an interesting project going on here where they're starting to give those frequent flyers, they call them, some of the technology so that they can be monitored by paramedics, community-based paramedics, and then they can interact with the doctor around any times when they absolutely have to go to the hospital. So they're an interesting part of that whole system that we're developing.
And we already have emergency medical services that are volunteers, so we could sort of adapt that.
Yeah.
I know when I speak to the volunteers, they say they know some of the key callers quite well, because it's often the same person that has different issues, so they're in that home on a regular basis, but it could be taken to another step. Yeah. Okay, well thank you all for coming.